Hey guys, how's it going? It's Samkir and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a really cool trap beat using Analog Labs by Arturia assisted with my Essential Key Labs 49. So this video is sponsored by Arturia. They gave me the tools to work for this video and they asked me to bring you this content. So thank you Arturia for the video. No more talking. Let's jump into the DAW and get started with our cool trap beat. So to start our beat, I have this cool little MIDI pattern here that I wrote. Something very simple, just some um, static chord progression that goes on the beat. And I loaded this classic key piano, which is here on Mellotron piano. And I chose it because it sounds very, it has a nice little warm tone, it has a warble that sounds really great for this kind of music, trap beats. It sounds sort of dark, it sounds sort of nice, but we can take this a step further. And I can choose here to edit the things here using our, for example, adjust attack. I can adjust the release. So I'm gonna route this to a track. So I'm gonna go here, track. It's on number 2. Let me just reset this real quick. I don't know why it's colored. Anyways, I'm gonna add here an EQ just to cut off a bit of that high end to make it a bit more warmer. I'm gonna drop here. This is gonna be our cool intro. I'm gonna add some delays. So let's load up here some fruity delay. And I'm gonna keep that nice little sort of tape delay style, which is being modulated by the time. Sounds really great. I'm gonna set it so that it pans from left to right, so it gives a nice little stereo effect, so that it fills up the space a little bit more. And then also we can add some nice little reverb here, like a large hall reverb, something like that. That sounds perfect. Next, I'm gonna add here on my second channel some flutes. So I have here selected Ariane flutes, which I don't know why it doesn't show up here, but it's here. I can open up pigments, which I have, and I can see the patch. So something really cool about Analog Labs is that if you own any of the VSTs that are included in Analog Labs, so for example, if you have a V collection or if you have pigments, you can load inside of Analog Labs that patch and you can edit it, which is really cool. It's really useful and it's a really awesome way on working on sound. So I can go here and we can start adjusting and playing around with the knobs here as well, with the faders, just to see how we can fix this sound. So I know that I want a sharp, really quick sound, so I'm gonna turn down the release here Turn down the decay quite a bit, so because I want like a sharp staccato sort of sound. Something like that. Yeah, something like that sounds perfect. Sort of like staccato, short, like a quick little blow in the flute. I'm gonna add that like on starting off the beat. You can make it like every 2 bars. It makes that nice little flute sound. And then we can start like mixing this a little bit. Let me reset this track. Has some effects there. Of course, this is gonna have some delay, some reverb as well, just to play around with the stereo image of the sound, setting it where it should sound. Some nice little mixing techniques here. So I'm gonna load up first my EQ because I want this to be in another space away from the piano. So I'm gonna cut a bit of that low end there. And I'm gonna remove just a teeny bit of that high end just to give it that nice little warmth. I'm gonna turn down the volume a little bit on the piano here. And so now my audio is starting to crack, so I'm going to turn up a little bit my buffer length here. So if you're having that kind of issue, your audio is cracking, just turn up a little bit the buffer length. That doesn't hurt at all. So that sounds fantastic. Like, let's add some delay here. And I think for this one, I'm going to keep it as a mono delay, because I think that sounds fantastic for this sound. That's just that nice little shorter. So by decreasing the feedback, I make the delays shorter, less delays happening. Turn down the width a little bit. Maybe if I crank it up a little bit more, because I want to hear like a sort of echo sound after the melody plays, like just in the background, something like that. So maybe if I keep it at 100% and just like have this little low feedback amount. And just play around with knobs, like just fine tuning it just a little bit and adding some more reverb here. So resetting the dry. That sounds perfect. So now I'm gonna add this third analog labs here that I got, which is a guitar ensemble, which I don't know why it didn't show up again. First preset did show me what the patch is, but this is a synth clavier preset guitar ensemble. So if we search here, guitar, we can see filter by subcategory. We can scroll down, see all the patches. And what we wanted was a guitar ensemble. So I have here chip ensemble, guitar for robots. I can't seem to find it, but let's try this again. Guitar. Now I changed the preset by accident. So now guitar ensemble. Here we go. And this is what it sounds like. And what I want with this patch, and the reason I chose it, is because I want some of that low end rumble that it has, just to fill up the low end a little bit more. So of course we're gonna add another EQ here, and we're gonna roll off those highs. And give it a nice little boost to the low end. So I'm gonna set this to a low shelf. I'm gonna crank it just a teeny bit, and then play around with the smoothing, just make it a bit smoother. And then we're gonna add this here. I'm gonna mix it a little bit, adjust the volume. And there we have our cool little intro. So if we play this. And now we're gonna add our beat here. So I have here already a pre-made beat. So I got my kick and snare, which sounds like this. We got our hi-hats, which should go here. And then we got our perks. Oh, sorry, this is a variation of loop. And then our perks. And then we got here our 808, very important. So this is how the beat sounds all by itself. And there's quite a few things we can do on the mix here, but let's start by routing each one to a mixer track here. So I'm gonna route to this track, route selected channel starting from this track, or you can use Control-Shift-L, whichever tickles your tickle. Whichever tickles your pickle. And so we're gonna start by mixing a little bit these. And one thing I forgot to mention is this bass sound preset by the Open Modular. So this is made in. So one thing that I forgot to mention is that this 808 is made in modular. So it sounds very 808-ish. It sounds very nice, very analog. It has a nice little warm tone, and in like the very low octave, it sounds like an 808. The only issue is, and we're gonna fix this in the mixing stage, is that it sounds stereo, and 808 should be mono. So how do we fix this? So first of all, we're gonna route this to a mixer track by clicking here on the track button. We're gonna call this 808. So I did fail you guys on this. We should always name things. So these are our piano. We got here our flutes. We got here our guitar. And now we got our 808. So if you're making a project, always stay organized. Name your things, because it's a very professional tip when working on these kinds of projects. So we got our 808. I'm going to load up here a Fruity Stereo Shaper. And what this is going to do is going to turn our stereo 808s into a mono 808 by taking both of one channels and routing them into two. So for example, you can choose to have the left channel go into the left and the right, so it turns it mono. And to do that, we just choose, for example, LR to LL or LR to RR. And that makes it mono. So we can choose between those two. I sort of feel like the LR to RR sounds a bit punchier, so I'm going to keep that one. of course, I'm gonna mix this up. So I'm gonna select default here. I'm gonna choose a low pass filter here. So I'm gonna like cut the highs a bit just to mix it a bit more, because a sub should be in the sub area, so I don't need high ends. I'm gonna turn down here a little bit these harmonics. And I think it sounds pretty awesome. Now I'm gonna do some quick little secret sauce, which is gonna be sidechaining the kick into the 808, so it makes the kick a bit more punchier. And you do this by clicking here, selecting sidechain to this track, and then we're gonna do some more mixing. So I'm gonna route both of the kick and the 808 into a sub channel. So we're gonna route to this track and call this the sub. And so what I'm doing here is, by selecting this one, I can go here, choose a fruity limiter, which should be in the limiter area right here, fruity limiter. I'm gonna go here to compression. I'm gonna say sidechain, or you can right click into the kick. I'm gonna turn down the threshold. I'm gonna increase the knee just a teeny bit, increase the compression ratio, turn down the release attack. And I've essentially sidechained the kick into the 808 so that every time the kick hits the 808, sort of turns down the volume a little bit so it sounds punchier. It's a really cool technique to use. Then we can compress this. So we can go here, so like Maximus, which is a really nice compressor I like to use. So Maximus here. I'm gonna select default here and show you what I like to do. So I disable the multi-band compression. I just keep the regular compression. And I'm gonna crank that up right there so that it's working as a limiter. And then I'm gonna use the saturation area. So I'm gonna be using Maximus as a saturation plugin. I'm gonna decrease the ceiling a little bit. I'm gonna crank that saturation mode just a teeny bit. And then I'm gonna crank the pre-gain up so that it saturates more the sound. And it sounds very loud, very punchy, very cool. And then I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit so that it's the same volume as the rest of the percussion. I'm going to turn down the cowbell because I want less cowbell on this. And now let's see how the beat sounds with all the elements. Really awesome, really solid, sort of aggressive type beat. Thank you, Arturia, for sponsoring this video, for giving me the tools to teach all these awesome producers how to make some really cool beats. Anyways, this was Soundkiller. Thanks for watching. Until next time.